Coming up on Compound Saturday, intense competition as the female archers aim for the top spot on the podium and the world's best men go head-to-head for gold. Lausanne, Switzerland is providing a stunning alpine backdrop for stage 2 of the Hyundai Archery World Cup, where more than 230 archers from 35 countries are battling it out for gold. We'll find out who joins Nora Valdez and Braden Gelantine as the stage 1 qualifiers for the Hyundai Archery World Cup final later this year. In the first women's compound semi-final, second seed Andrea Marcos from Spain was up against third seed, the USA's Linda Ochoa Anderson. With little to separate these archers, it was the Spaniard who eventually triumphed in a single arrow shoot-off. A 10, just a fraction left of centre. Another solid hit, but it's drifted up into the 9. In the other women's semi-final, world number 2 Natalia Avdieva of Russia was up against Tanya Gelantine of Denmark, the world number 8. And it was the Dane who proved too strong. Left the best till last, a perfect score. So the bronze medal match saw the USA's Linda Ochoa Anderson taking on Russia's Natalia Avdieva, and it all came down to the final arrow. Long hold, big shake. Couple of big shapes. It's in to the 9. So a 10 for Avdieva to take bronze here in Lausanne. Another quick arrow. It's into the 10. She's shot angry, and look at the face she shows there. She's absolutely cock-a-hoop. We knew that the women's compound final would be between Denmark's Tanya Gelantine and Andrea Marcos of Spain.
Nine. 10. 8.
Just looking a bit unbalanced there. Again, do you see that kind of torso movement through the upper body, and you know whether that just caused that arrow to go wide?
9. 10.
Good finish from Marcos, but a 27 leaves the door open for Gelantine to get an early lead. Quick shot into the 10, and a 29 from Gelantine puts her ahead. Well, she needed that. She needed a solid start, and she's got just what she wants.
Not looking that solid to me. Just a little bit of movement, a little bit of shaking. I think the pressure's on here.
9. 9.
Not doing enough to keep that 2-point lead.
10.
Another solid one from Marcos, so finishing with a 56. But still an opportunity to have 2 points in the lead, and that's what she gets. Another 10. It may not look overly convincing, but it's enough for Galantine to hold the lead. You talked about tension, you talked about nerves, you talked about, and you were talking specifically about Galantine, but I think we're seeing that on both sides of the shooting line.
Yeah, we certainly are. You know, Galantine, is it going to be third time unlucky? This is the third time she's been in this scenario. Can she make it? And I think that's going to be a big thing in her head. She's really got to make sure those thoughts don't come in. And it's normal to have those thoughts. It's normal for your brain to go ahead of you and start thinking, can you win this? Or are you going to lose this? Is what's going to happen? But you've got, this is where mindfulness comes into archery.
10.
Galantine, of course, yet to win a World Cup stage.
9.
In the driving seat, but has just notionally dropped 1 point.
The wind may be playing a factor there again. We saw another movement of the bow. Tanya's last arrow in the 9, but she kind of nodded. I think a coach gave her some advice and knowingly kind of nodded and has corrected it on that shot.
She's making an adjustment there. Are they making the adjustment? Is she making an adjustment to try and get her arrows to come up?
Yeah, she was moving the top of the sight bar, so yeah.
So a 29 for Marcos puts her on an 85. Still chance to maintain that 2-point lead. And she does indeed, and the last shot was probably the best of the lot. So 87, that 2-point lead that she grabbed very early on could end up being what decides this match. That 9 followed by 8 from Marcos at this level. Don't get me wrong, I can't shoot that, but at this level it can be your undoing.
Yeah, that start just was not what you wanted.
Long hold here, but the wind you can see is blustery. Oh, she's going to run out of time, wobbling all over the shop, and that is the result.
There seems to be a lot of wind at the archer's end. When we had that shot before, we can hear it on the microphones, but down the end of the targets, they're not. The flags aren't blowing around, so it's interesting. When you've got a situation like this, sometimes the wind can swirl in a venue, so I wonder if that's happening on the shooting line.
9.
Well, as you can see, we are all square now. Marcos with that opportunity to put some pressure on, and now Galantine needs a 10 just to stay level. Quick shot, and it is bang into the centre, and it's 114 apiece. But tell me, how much of a factor does luck play in that? It seemed to me that that Galantine got the worst of the conditions in her certainly in her first shot.
Yeah, you get what you're given. There's no other option, and you've got to get that arrow off within that 20 seconds. If you don't, you lose it. So yeah, it is sometimes down to some luck. And Brady Ellison said that in Guatemala. You know, archery is now a sprint. You know, years ago we used to shoot 12 or 24 dozen arrows to decide who was the best. But now this format is much more exciting because we don't know what's going to happen.
Marcos, momentum with her, will shoot first in end number 5. Wind picking up again, not affecting Marcos as much this time. Now the wind picking up for Marcos. Just pulling over to the right there, and I think that might have been because she was trying to aim to avoid the wind. Look at this. She knows what's at stake here, Tanya Galantine. Her first World Cup stage win is in her hands. Pressure from Marcos. Oh, she's opened the door massively here. Galantine, for her first World Cup stage win, only needs an 8. She puts it into the 9. It's more than enough. It was a silver in Guatemala. She's upgraded that after the shoot-off loss in Central America to a gold medal here at the second stage in Lausanne.
I've been in the gold final quite a few times now, and I've always walked away with a silver medal, so I am so happy. I had a game plan coming in here. It was to make good shots and make fast shots, because the wind here today is really tricky, so I knew that going out there anything could happen, but I stuck to my game plan and it worked out really well.
Let's have a look at how that affects the World Cup rankings. Well, right at the top, Tanya Gelentine, and of course, losing to Nora Valdez in Guatemala, they are the 2-stage winners, automatically booked their place in the Hyundai Archery World Cup finals. In the compound women's team gold medal match, it was the USA taking on Russia. And it was the USA who took command straight away with a lead of 5 after the first end.
9.
The Russians never recovered from that start, and Linda Ochoa Anderson, Paige Pierce and Savannah van der Veer claimed gold with a dominant performance. Following up the gold medal the USA won in stage 1. A tight match was expected in the men's team final where the Netherlands were taking on Turkey. And it was no surprise to see Mr. Perfect, Mike Schlusser, help his team into the lead after end 1.
10.
Well, great start from Mike Schlusser. Great start from the Netherlands, really. It was the same story in end 2. Very calm from Mike Schlusser. But the Turkish team stayed in contention throughout and were only a point behind going into the final end. And it is a 10, and they've saved the best till last. Evren Kairan, Furkan Uruk and Jakub Yildiz finished with an incredible 60 to put all the pressure back on the Netherlands. In the end, victory for Turkey. Mike Schlusser had a chance at redemption in the mixed team final where Jody Vermeulen partnered him in the Netherlands team to take on Denmark. And it was the Dutch pair who had their noses in front at the halfway stage.
9.
Just dropping into the 9, but still a 2-point lead. And after that, there was no let-up from the Netherlands. And it's back in the middle of the target for Jody Vermeulen, who takes gold for the Netherlands. Still to come, the top male compound archers face off in their battle for gold in the second stage of the 2021 Hyundai Archery World Cup. Originally planned for Shanghai, the World Archery Centre of Excellence stepped in to host this major international at very short notice.
My name is Juan Carlos Holgado. I'm the director of the World Archery Excellence Center and director of the International Foundation, the Foundation of the International Federation, and right now part of the organizing committee as the venue manager of this World Cup. Okay, we are the backup solution of the event that was supposed to happen in Shanghai, China. Because the COVID regulation in China, there was mandatory to have all the teams 2 weeks in a hotel. The cost to have them there, to have them not shooting and practicing for 2 weeks was just too high. And as a result of that, we have only 2 World Cup in Olympic year, which is very important to have more competition. World Archery asked the center, we were willing to help. Of course, we are here to do that, to help our members and World Archery. And we went into this adventure, into this challenge. We had just 7 weeks to get it ready. And here we are. The plan of the center was never to build it big enough to host a big event. We had the Masters World Championship, which was the first time in the history to be organized, and that's another thing, it's a kind of legacy of the center. We also did, in the opening of the center, an international event indoor, where we have some of the top archers, Olympic champions coming here to honor this official opening the 2nd December of 2016 after Rio. So we have started from the first stone and now it's rolling. If we have emergency, we call everybody, but when they finish, they go back to the job. So then everybody does what they should do. Let's say if you are not very experienced, it will take you a year, 10 months to get things ready. When you're experienced, like some of our organizers in China or in Antalya in Turkey, you need 6 months, 5-6 months. Less than 2 months is really pushing it. We have been lucky because World Archery has a lot of experience and the other organizing committee, we have experience, we have a good team, but it's not easy to pull off all this in 7 weeks, but so far we are okay. The World Cup is higher standard, which means we have to provide better targets, better facilities. With the COVID, we need more spaces to follow the regulation. And of course, we have more media interest, but that's what makes it difficult. Just top archers, more numbers, and higher standard that we have to reach to be in the level as a World Cup circuit. The COVID has made it quite challenging because you have been 1.5 years out of the circuit. You don't know how you are and you don't know how the others are. So it's very important to create more competition before the Olympic to get warm up, to get ready for it. For me, the clients is World Archery and the archers. So if the archers are happy, they feel that has been worth it, all this effort, that for me will be the great success.
In the opening men's compound semi-final at the second stage of the 2021 Hyundai Archery World Cup, Italy's Federico Pagnoni was up against Adrien Gontier, a Frenchman who was making his debut at this event. A single arrow shoot-off was required to decide the outcome.
9.
Not a bad shot, but room for Pagnoni here, anything in the 10 ring. Oh, lovely. And Federico Pagnoni of Italy will go on to shoot for gold here in Lausanne. In the second men's semi, it was David versus Goliath. 17-year-old rookie Matthias Fullerton from Denmark was up against the top seed and massive favourite Mike Schlusser of the Netherlands, and experience told in the end. And it's more than enough to put Mike Schlusser of the Netherlands into the final. Adrien Gontier claimed a podium place after victory over Matthias Fullerton in the bronze medal match.
10, 10, 10.
Another perfect, 4 out of 5 for our bronze medalist here in Lausanne, Adrien Gontier. So what a men's compound final we had in prospect. Italy's Federico Pagnoni taking on Mike Schlusser of the Netherlands.
Much longer hold on that. You know, the first 3 arrows between the two of them nicely timed, and then a longer hold results in the 9.
10, 10, 10, and that is a perfect score.
What can you say? Just straight into the middle.
10.
29 for
Perfect score and perfect
Pagnoni. He's not bad either. I mean, a 9 in the middle there, but that is the difference between very, very, very good and perfection. Gets to put some pressure on, and that's a great first arrow in the second end.
Slightly longer hold. That first shot was lovely and quick, wasn't it? And straight in the X. It's a little difference again between those first 2 shots, but a perfect result so far on this end.
Oh, careful, Mike. Just coming outside the X ring there. Brilliant. Really good, and very important, not only for his own confidence, but just to show Mike Schlusser he's not going to just run away with this.
10, 10, 10, perfect score.
Well, I mean, it's really very, very high standard, but I think I'd reiterate that point. That perfect from Pagnoni is so important, not just because of the score, in fact, not at all because of the score, but because of the effect it will have on his confidence and the additional pressure it puts on Schlosser.
You've got to keep pushing him all the way. You know, if you start dropping points now, Mike Schlosser will just tear away. So putting that pressure on him, we know that Mike can drop points. He dropped 2 in the semi-final, so it's all to play for.
That's a very long hole, but he's pulled away with a 10.
We can hear the wind, can't we, in the microphones in the stadium there, so it's certainly picked up a bit. You can see that kind of loose cable, if you like, it's attached to the Italian's rest, and you can just see that flapping around in the wind a little bit.
Coach happy with that. Beautiful start from Pagnoni. That's a second perfect in a row. That's number 3 for Mike Schlosser. The quality and standard has remained very high. Both shooting perfects in the second and third ends. This now becomes down to a mistake.
Yeah, Mike has got to keep his wits about him. He can't afford to drop the points that we saw him drop in the semis, so this is fantastic with Federico pushing him all the way here.
Bit of a longer hold again, but the result is there for all to see.
The wind's still playing a factor, a little bit of movement. All on the line, but he's going to get the highest score. He's cut the line. There's Mike, just looks so solid, no movement.
Looks like that one's just crept out. It's going to go for a measure, but I think you can see some clear space between the arrow and the line, so I think that will be a 29, and that may be the error. Especially with another perfect from Mike Schlosser, 120 out of 120. Just 2 drop points from Federico Pagnoni, subject to the measure. I felt I could see a gap between the arrow and the line, though.
Yeah, I thought I could see a little gap as well. So, you know, just such a tiny margin, but that's the difference of a point, which could be a big, big thing going into this last end.
Well, trailing as he has done from the very start, Federico Pagnoni will be all about putting the pressure on Mike Schlosser in this final end. That is not the start he wanted. All of a sudden you can just feel the weight lightening on the shoulders of Mike Schlosser.
Both arrows just dropping a bit low, you know, as he putting the normal power through his shots. Very quick shot there, and another 9.
Not happy with that. Okay. 14 out of 15 10s for Schlosser. Pagnoni has, I think, decided that this one has gone. 3 9s to finish off, puts him on a 1-4-5. Ignore 6 to win. This is all about, can we get a perfect 150 here? Oh, so many times has that happened to Mike Schlosser. He shot 140 out of 140, 14 10s in a row, and then something happens on the last arrow and he drops it into the 9. But an exceptional performance to shoot a 149 in the final. Mikey Schlosser has taken the gold here in Lausanne, and he booked his place at the World Cup finals in Yankton later on this year.
This is probably one of my strongest finals I've shot in a very long time. And it was really tough conditions, and I kept really strong mentally and physically as well. And I'm really happy with all the workout I've put in last couple of weeks. Since Guatemala has been working out, like paying off.
And that's how it leaves the World Cup rankings. A gold and silver from Mike Schlosser puts him at the top. Braden Gelantine, winning in Guatemala, has booked his place in the World Cup finals. And Gontier and Pagnoni, the finalists, the final 4 here in Lausanne, are up in the top of the rankings. Lausanne in Switzerland has provided a stunning backdrop for an intense week of competition, which has brought us to the halfway point of the 2021 Hyundai Archery World Cup season. Denmark's Tanja Gelantine and Mike Schlosser of the Netherlands have booked their places in the Hyundai Archery World Cup final later this year. Join us next time in France as Stage 3 arrives in Paris.